Hi, welcome back. Oh my goodness. I'm so excited. Um, it's just been a journey, and then to kind of revamp things, and I guess we'll call this volume two. Because if you go to the YouTube page, you'll see all of the previous ones that I kept, the episodes, and it's kind of like a throwback kind of thing, because no need to reinvent the wheel when it's already done, right? So, if you haven't already, listen to those podcasts first. They kind of give an insight to my mind, who I am as a person, how I think and look at things, and what a perspective that is new could do for you, and how it could catapult you into a whole new outcome. Um, I want to say two things that I will preach throughout the rest of my living state here on earth. And you're going to hear it a lot of times because I think it is very important. Number one, your voice has to be the loudest voice concerning you. You don't want to put your power in someone else's hands and then it leaves you feeling some type of way when their opinion does not measure to your own about you. That's where everything starts, is within you. And number two, all good advice should be taken into consideration. Even the advice that I'm giving you here, you pick and choose what works for you. I am not standing there holding you hostage saying, you gotta do this or you gotta do that, because there are a million ways to skin a cat. And I don't know if this generation has heard that before, but that was one of the things that I heard growing up. And all that means is there's a whole lot of ways to do the same thing. What is your outcome that you want? And what road looks best for you? So on this podcast, I give tips and I give unsolicited advice. I give a perspective that you didn't know you wanted. I give you all the things, okay? So this is something you play in the background while you're doing something else. I never want to have your attention to where you can't be productive. This is just like that little birdie in your ear, okay? So, to everyone who would like to participate in these and listen and respond, and to have, hey, I'm thinking this though, or, but what about maybe, or, hey, that sounds good, or I don't understand that. Any of those kind of commentary are welcome. Put them in the chat. Let's have a discussion. I am here for you. I am here to serve. I humbly and authoritatively stand on my post to do what I was created to do, and that is to help you fly. Help you find your wings, show you how to use them, and to watch you take off. Why? Because we all have the ability to do that thing that we desire most. It's just sometimes there's a little bit of disconnect on how to get from point A to point B. But then once you learn how to get from point A to point B, now you know how to get from point B to point C, C to D, all the way to Z. Because you've gained the resources and the information, and you don't have to reinvent the wheel. But my foundation of my program, of what I do, of my life coaching, is centered around who are you. Excuse me. A lot of times we put unnecessary stress on ourselves. We let that unnecessary commentary from other people invade our headspace to the point of our voice being silenced. Because we don't want to go against the grain. Oh no, we don't want them to be upset with us if we make this decision, but man, I would really like to, but if I do, then they're going to be F them. And when I say F, because this is a PG-13, everything, I mean forget. Forget them. Forget all that. Because guess what? At the end of the day, you're the one who has to walk in your shoes. I apologize, but we're not to the point of where you can take your consciousness from you out of your head and put it into someone else. But the fact that I'm saying that is like, oh my goodness, we're going to be able to do that in the future because somebody's already working on it. I'm excited. I hope I get to see it, right? Um, but we're not there yet. So guess what? You have to be in the driver's seat of what you want to do at all times. And it is absolutely okay to silence the noise, the voices that do not matter. Again, take all good advice into consideration, but you know what it is that you have inside you that you want to do for you that would please you. And before we take on anything else external in that world, we need to solidify ourselves. We need to be our own best friends. We need to understand that we matter and that ultimately we are here for purpose. And the purpose is to bring that desire that you have to fruition, right? Because it's always going to be a double-edged sword. So that means when you start helping you, eventually you're going to get to the end of that sword and you're going to be helping somebody else. If you don't believe me, look at the desire you have right now. Maybe it's an unspoken one. Maybe it's one you think is so outrageous it'll never come to pass. Maybe it's one that you think is just ludicrous, right? But you want it. Look at that desire and then look at both of the sides of that desire. Of course, you would be pleased, ecstatic maybe even, like it would be the best thing on earth. But then what are you doing? What does that desire do? What is the action associated with it? Because whatever's on the other side of that is going to be beneficial to someone else. Let's say I want to be the biggest car salesman in the world. I want to have my own lot. I want to have all the new cars, and I want people to, whoever I do the loans with, to get those cars on my lot, or however that works. I have no idea. I want them to be so pleased with me. They give me the best deals. They give me the best prices. They give me the everything. So my profit margin is 1,000%. And selling one vehicle at a reasonable price that anyone could afford still puts me way up where I want to be. What's on the other end of that sword? Now people get good vehicles, right? They know you're here for the long term, so they don't have to worry about a lemon. In order to be the best, you have to have the best morals in place to be considered. Oh my goodness, I'm going to tell everybody about them because I had such a great experience. You understand? People don't get that kind of, what do they call that? Word of mouth advertisement when something goes wrong. And then people want to come to their place. People want to go where they went because, oh my goodness, I would love to have that same experience. So even if you're the biggest car salesman in the world and that is what you choose to do, on the other end of that, people are getting a very good vehicle. These are top of the line. These are the newest vehicles and they can afford them. It's not out of their price range. You're willing to work with them because you know where your profit margin is, and therefore you can be more generous of the terms and conditions. So you see, no matter what it is that you choose to do, some way, whoever is at the end of that sword with you, like you're on one end, they're on one end, it's going to help somebody else. So whatever desire you have for you, be selfish about it. And say, you know what? I really can do this. I want this for me. I deserve this. Why do I deserve it? Not because I earned it, right? Not because I worked for it. Because I want it, I deserve it. You understand? And I know there's some people out there that you may have run across that says, oh, you can't have that. You didn't work for it. You don't have enough money for that. How are you ever going to get that? Then we go back to there's a million ways to get that thing. Nothing is impossible. And there's never really a problem. There's only a plan that either hasn't been executed or hasn't been understood on how to execute it and what would work best for your situation and the resources that you have available to you. But there is always a way. You don't have to count yourself out. And a lot of people don't realize that. They think if I'm not up here, if I don't have what they have, how in the world can I even compete with what I want to do? That's not how it works. There's this thing called smoke and mirrors. And it's a lot of that going on to try to keep you mentally bound to say, oh, you'll never have that because you're lacking ABC. When in fact, you're fully equipped to handle that desire that you have. So in today's topic, we are going to just go right down to the meat of the bones. And we're going to say, or talk about why goal setting matters. And it's not to please other people. It's not to tell the world, oh, I have done this and I have accomplished in this area. Who gives a right? That's not what this is. This is about you, understanding you, and getting to do what you want to do because you can. And you deserve it because you want it. That's why you have to be your biggest fan. That's why you have to trust your word over anyone else's because they can't see the picture that's in your head for you. That's why your voice has to be the loudest. Yeah, they might be hitting some good points. Their perspective could be legitimate. And then you take that and you tweak it, meaning you leave the pieces that don't belong and you keep the things that resonate with you. And you're like, oh, that's good to know. Oh, you know what? I never heard that before. I'm gonna remember that, or I'm gonna write that down. Right? But for whatever reason, people feel entitled to have an opinion over your life that they are not living. And that is incorrect. I don't even have an opinion over your life because I'm not living it. I am just showing you a different perspective of on my road during my journey. These are some of the things I encountered. This is where it went absolutely wrong. This is what I learned. And this is how I got it back on track to go right. So in my life coaching sessions, there really is no wrong answer. There really is no failure. There's oh, didn't know that. Let's revamp it. Right? But everything that you want sits in the foundation of you, understanding you. So at the bottom of that, let's say, okay, I want this. Well, how do we get there? Well, we got to set some goals. And it's not just about, like I said, productivity or achievement. It's a mental and emotional game changer. When you set clear goals, you shift from passively reacting to life to actively shaping it. And that sense of control, which you are fully equipped and in control of your life, boosts confidence, builds resilience, and creates positive feedback. So then you're like, oh, well, when I do it, this feels good. And when I accomplish it, now I'm this much closer, right? Every small win reinforces the belief that you are capable, which energizes you to take on even bigger challenges. Goal setting transforms I wish into I will. So I guess the first step would be defining your why before the what. Goals grounded in personal meaning are more powerful. So you want to ask yourself things like, why do I want this? And the stronger the emotional connection, the greater your motivation. So, for example, when I was a child, food scarcity was a real thing. And when I grew up, I wanted to make sure that my fridge is filled at all times. That was one of my goals, with random things that I like and enjoy, not just things that I'm putting in me so I don't die, right? I don't want to have to eat for survival. I want to eat for nourishment and for pleasure. You know what I mean? So I didn't know how to eat. And when I grew up, maybe about, I want to say even 5-ish years ago, I just learned how to eat for nourishment. Sometimes it takes a little while. Why? Because you're not focused on it, but you still know you want that thing, but you're not setting the goal to actually achieve how to get it. You know what I mean? So it took me a little while because I'm like, yeah, I was eating for pleasure, like all day, all the time. Everything I ate was for pleasure, right? And then I started on this weight loss journey, and I'm like, oh, now I know. Okay, my water intake has to be a little bit different. Okay, now I'm not just eating full plates of things just because it tastes good and it satisfies me, but because I want my body to be healthy. So one of my goals, well, and some people would look at it like, that's not even a goal. That's just no, to me, it's a goal. Why? Because I didn't have it before and I wanted it. And to achieve anything, even if you call it something else, you're setting a goal to get that thing. So I didn't want to live in food scarcity, right? And the discipline that comes with that, setting that goal for myself. Oh, so if I can be this diligent in this area, maybe I could do it in different things. Like, okay, now I want this. Okay, now I want this. And what do I have to do to get there? Ah, why? Because we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We follow that blueprint. And then we take on new information. And sometimes the new information that we take on doesn't really quite fit that situation, or it has an outcome that was adverse to what we were trying to do. So now we have a learned event. Okay, we're not going to do that. But I am going to take what I learned and I'm going to try it this way. And it gets me one step closer because now I know that way won't work, but there is a way that will. So I'm going to keep going and keep trying out these different things until I figured it out. So that's what having that emotional connection to your goal looks like. The why you want something. And then we can just jump into using that SMART framework, where you're specific, something that's measurable, that's actually achievable. And when I put the discipline into it, oh, okay, yeah, it can be done. You know what I mean? So it's really, and then that is still up to me. It's not someone out there completing the goal for me. Is it relevant to what I'm actually trying to do? Right? Yes, because I really want this thing. So now I got, for years eating for pleasure. And now, okay, let's go a different route. Let's do it the right way and include the pleasurable points. So now I know how to eat. And that might sound really ridiculous because you've been eating all your life. Well, I was eating for survival. I was eating because I went ham because, oh, now I got all this. I can have everything I want, So then you go crazy for a few years and you're like, I'm just eating everything. And then you get to a point where, okay, I've had my fun there. I'm not going to give it all the way up. I'll have bacon still for the rest of my life, right? But it's like, I want to eat to make this body sustainable for as long as possible. Now I have an emotional reason to why I want that part of it so bad. And that helps me to stay on track because I'm not trying to leave early. And I don't want to, that seems almost ridiculous to me. When I have the power to change some things in order to have more sustainability, and I refuse to do it. You know what I mean? When it's within my grasp to learn how, right? And time bound. How much time does it take to get there? It doesn't matter. You get there when you get there. You understand? And as long as you keep at it, you're going to get there. Why? Because you have all the time in the world to reach that goal. So you're going to reach it. Why? Because your why has such a powerful connection to your emotions on it. So what else are you in the hurry for if not for that thing you really want? Okay, well I do want this thing really bad. So I'm gonna, move forward. I'm gonna keep taking steps toward it. But you also have to get those learned events along the way, those lessons, oh, so this will work and this won't. Okay. And then you keep taking your steps forward. And then eventually you'll look back and you'll be like, oh my goodness, I'm here. Why? Because you didn't make time the priority. You made the getting there the priority. Take some pressure off yourself. We don't know how long it's going to take. We haven't achieved that goal before. Because if we had, we could jump right to it and it'd take 2 seconds. You understand? Because we would have learned the blueprint, learned what has worked and what hasn't. But because we're going at it for the first time, give yourself some grace. Take time out of the equation for the goals and the things you really want because you have all the time in the world for it. You're not in a hurry for anything else except for that thing that you want. Learn the lessons and be in the moment. Don't try to skip steps. Don't try to cut corners because once you get there, then what? You will have arrived. But what did you learn along the way? For your next goal or your next set of journeys. Like you want those lessons so that you don't have to reinvent the blueprint every time. Large goals can feel overwhelming. Break them up. Actionable steps help to keep the momentum. So yeah, I wanted this big goal of food security, right? Because we know that food is something that we have to keep buying and keep buying and keep buying and keep buying, right? So I'm going to have some sort of income that allows me to do just that and pay all my bills and do the fun things that I would like to do to be able to, be me and enjoy life. But I also want that food security, that my deep freezer is full, my regular freezer is full, my snack cabinets are full, my pantry is full. You know what I mean? How do we, that is the big goal that I want, right? So then we break it up. Well, I'm going to have an income because it costs to have food. Or I'm going to have an income, and I'm going to have to learn how to garden if I want to take that approach. You understand? Or I'm going to have a job and have income to be able to do that. And I want to have a really good connection with a local farmer or farmer's market in order to have the best nutrient things that I can and integrate them with my love for having pleasurable food, right? And I'm going to have to make them work together. And it's going to be something that has to be sustainable so that I can da 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 da. You fill in the blank. So let's break it down. Okay, we need a job. Okay, we need to network. Or okay, we need a job. Maybe we need to go to YouTube University and learn how to, grow things. Again, about 3 to 5 years ago, just learning how to garden some stuff. And I was growing corn in my living room. I was very excited about that corn, y'all. And other herbs and other different things and onions and green peppers and tomatoes, and I actually ate them. I actually ate food that I grew. And I'm still here, so it worked out, I guess. So that's how you break it down. Don't overwhelm yourself when you're just looking at the end result. Okay, what are the steps we're going to take to get there? How do I feel about the steps that I'm taking so far? Did I write it down so that now it's clear what we're doing? Right? And am I flexible enough to keep revising it when I see that something didn't work? And now there's a new step that needs to be had. Okay, I was able to get some money. I'm able to have a job. Now I can buy things, but this job is not working out. I just don't feel good at it. Right? So now we got to go back to the drawing board. Let's get a better job. Let's get something that, is better for my personality. Now we're tweaking things and we're being flexible. Now, are we able to have what we want right now? Yes. But we want it to be sustainable. So this is what I have to do for me. And you may have somebody in the background, that's stupid. You can have food at any time. You're making money. That should be enough. You're able to da 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 da. Why are you complicating this for yourself? Why are you trying to do better when you're doing good already? Like, you need to calm down. You just do what you've been doing. Like, da da da. You know what I'm saying? All those elevationless verbiage that some people seem to have. And it's like, we got to learn. It's not their life. It's not their walk. Of course, it's not what they want for them because look at how they're talking about it. But this is what I want for me. So this is what I'm going to do for me. And my voice is going to be louder than an external voice because that external voice doesn't really matter as much as my voice. That's what I want you to get in your mindset. So you're writing down your goals, right? Like physically putting it on paper, and that's your accountability. If you don't have people around you that are rooting for you, you root for you. You be accountable with yourself. You be honest with yourself. This is really what I want. I'm a little nervous about it. I don't really know what I'm doing, but I know I really want it. So these are the steps that I'm thinking of taking to get started because that would catapult me into this, and then I could go into this, and now we're moving somewhere, right? Write it down. If you don't have a support system, you be your support system. Don't lie to yourself. Because sometimes we don't want to tell other people because we are scared and because we are nervous because we've never been down this road before. Otherwise, like I said before, we'd be already at the finish line. So give yourself some grace. Write your goals down, and then not only write them down, but take the time to visualize the outcome. Sit with it a minute. Mentally rehearse you achieving that goal. What is it going to look like? And this kind of primes your brain to notice the opportunities and prepares you emotionally for success. Some people have a fear of success. This prepares you for success. So you're sitting there, you wrote everything down, and then you take a moment and you're like, okay, let me just think about this for a second. When I have food security, I mean, everything is going to be filled. And my fridge is going to have all the healthy things right in front of me. But when I want a snack, they're going to be over in this cabinet. And when I open up that cabinet, I'm going to see all the chips that I want. I'm going to see all the trail mix that I want. I'm going to see all the little, miscellaneous things, the seaweed. I'm going to, depending on what your preference is, right? And then you sit there and you imagine yourself, and this again, just my goal, opening that cabinet or whatever your goal is, imagining yourself in that moment. This is why silent time, alone time is very important, because this is when the work gets done. When we're visualizing, when we're taking time out to reflect on the things that's going on right now and how we want them to change. Or when we're in that moment and we're reflecting on the things that are going on and being grateful just in the moment, like, oh my goodness, I remember when I didn't. I remember when all we had to eat was hot dogs every day. Hot dogs with ketchup, hot dogs with mustard, hot dogs on the grill, hot dogs from the microwave, boiled hot dogs on a bun, hot dogs on a bread, hot dogs with no bread. You see what I'm saying? So it's like taking a moment to be grateful for where you are and writing down more things, or if something else comes to you, having the time to modify, having the time to enjoy, to go into your mind, and having the time to think about what it's going to look like. We get so busy in our days that we never take the time to actually be with ourselves and reflect. Am I in a good position right now? I really am. Do I like the things that are going on right now in my life? I really do. Do I see myself achieving that goal and moving forward? I really can see that. Or do I like the things that are going on in my life? No, not really. How do I feel about those things that I don't like? Well, I would like them to stop happening. I would like to not be around that negative energy because it brings me down and makes me feel bad. And sometimes I cry because it's emotionally overwhelming. And I would just like to not have that be a part of my everyday. Okay, well, what does it look like being on the other side of that and being in an environment that you enjoy, in an environment that's positive and something that's elevating instead of degrading? You see what I'm saying? Taking that time for yourself can put things into perspective. And then if you need to go a little bit harder, if you can sit right where you are and still be okay, or if you need to pull back and say, okay, I'm adding way too much to something that doesn't need to have all that. But you have that time to reflect and think and be with yourself and visualize the outcomes that you want to have. And then that helps you to write down your goals again, or to be flexible to change something. Ooh, that would be better. Or, you know what, I don't think I would like that. And guess what? However you feel about something is the correct answer. Why? Because it's you making the decision for you. And you set process goals, not just outcome goals. When we go back to that, breaking it down a little bit. So I need to get a job, make sure it pays this much, and then be able to get paid either weekly, every 2 weeks, monthly, whatever your preference is, so that I can go grocery shopping or whatever your goal might be. I can do this on this day or at this time or in this way. So we're taking little steps. We see the big picture. We're putting the big picture on our vision board. And now we have to work our way backwards to the beginning and where we're going to start. And you're going to want to have those times to review and reflect regularly. So even if you have to set it in your calendar, And you're like, okay, normally on, Sundays at 6:30, I'm sure I could have some time. And then you make that your time. And if something is in the way and you deem this more important because yourself, your thoughts, the things that you want, your reflection time is important too, you move those things around to fit your schedule. If they can be moved around. Otherwise, you're like, okay, that time doesn't really work. Let me pick another time. And then you set it and you be accountable to you. You write it down or you set your alarm. And then you know that from this time to this time, that's your time. I even went, because I do podcasts and I do other things where I need my space. So I went and I bought out an on-air sign. So anytime I am having that time to myself, right outside my door, I press the button, the light comes on, and they know, okay, she doesn't want to be disturbed right now. Do things, invest in yourself that make you feel good and can get the job done that you want to get done. I don't care if it looks ridiculous because I'm in the house and I'm not actually in a studio. I don't care if for whatever reason I turn on that light. Maybe I want to take a nap. But that's my time. And because the people that are around me understand that that's my time, I can actually have that time. Right? So establishing boundaries is one of the other things that we can work on to reach your goal. You throw that in there. And whatever you think you need for you to get something done, guess what? That's the correct answer. Why? Because you want it for you. So anticipating obstacles and planning for them. Sometimes you can't see what might come up. You just kind of have to go through it and then be like, oh, so this is why. Okay, so this happens. We don't want that to happen anymore. So, and then you know which obstacles are going to come, right? So you can identify likely challenges, and then create strategies in advance once you kind of know. Because if you're doing something for the first time, you don't really know until you're actually in that thing or in the momentum of. And then you see kind of, oh, that's what happens. Okay, we don't want that to happen. So now we're going to plan for this and that, right? So give yourself some grace, you guys, because like I said, if we knew everything, how to get wherever we're going, because we can hear gurus all day say, this is how you want to, you do it like this and this will be the outcome. But you still got to take those steps. And when you take those steps, now you're actively getting to that thing. They make it sound like it could be done in one or two steps, and that's not really the truth. Because there's the element of when can you start participating in reaching that goal, how you can participate in reaching that goal, what is the actual goal, and have we broken it down enough to where we have these steps that we can take? Or did we miss something? And can we be flexible enough to go and change or add in that thing that we missed? So obstacles, as they come, you kind of work out the kinks, right? And those would be, I guess, what some people would call a failure, but it's a learned moment. So you're like, okay, now I know if I set the house on fire, stuff will burn down. We don't really want to do that, right? So if you don't know, you know what I'm saying? But, have some grace for yourself and celebrate the small wins, the small things. Oh my goodness, I got that job. Oh, I really got a lot more money so I can pay my bills and I can buy all this food that I want. Okay, now I need to buy that Sam's Club membership. Oh my goodness, I am able to have a Sam's Club membership. You understand? Be excited about you. Be excited about what you're doing. Have an emotional connection to it. Why? Because it ain't easy. And you still did it. Maybe that was a job you're like, I don't even have the qualifications for it, but I'm going to try and see what they say because I know I could do it or I could learn how to do it, but I just don't know today. Like, so I really let me have that interview with them and let me tell them, I would really like to do this. I think this, and this, but I've never done it. But it looks like I can pick up that information really quickly because of, my experience over here doing this. So I would really like the opportunity to, and I'm looking for something long term. I really want to try at this. And they can either say, hey, I like your attitude. Yes, let's give it a go. Or they can say, hey, it's so complicated. We need somebody who's already done it so they could just jump in and run with it. Right? So though, it's either a yes or a no. And neither one of those are negative. You have to look at everything like, okay, this is, well, at least I know they want someone like this. So let me go and see if I can learn how to do this so that the next time I go to a company and I want to do this, I'll be more prepared. You understand? That's a learned moment. It's not a failure. Give yourself some grace. Celebrate that you even had the courage to go and do it. Even though you knew, I don't think I can. But I think I could learn to do it. Or I could, something about something. And it's like you took the chance. You took the risk on yourself. You went anyway, even though you may have been afraid. You had some courage and you did what you thought was the best move. Excuse me, guys. And then that just jumps back to staying flexible and staying committed. Things change. And your goals should too. You should be able to say, oh, I missed that step. Let me put it in there. And now do I need to break that down into a smaller step in order to reach it? To make it make sense in here. Or, oh shoot, we went the complete wrong way. Why did I even think to do that? Let me start over. You know what I mean? You be flexible with yourself. You give yourself some grace. You don't worry about the time that it's going to take. You just keep moving forward for that thing. And then before you know it, your cabinets will be full. Your freezer, your deep freezer, your refrigerator, your pantry will be full. And this is metaphorically speaking on whatever your goal might be. You will have achieved that thing if you don't give up. And what else are you in a hurry for? If not that thing that you really want. There are ways to get there. And the only reason you won't get there is if you give up on you. But there's no reason to do that. Why? Because there's so many ways to get there. You just got to figure out your zhuzh, like your momentum. You know what I mean? You figuring out you and solidifying you helps you to say, okay, so knowing myself, these are the kind of goals that I really want. These are the things that I'm able and capable to do. That I wouldn't get tired of doing. You know what I mean? So let me break that down and go backwards. And where do we start? And if you're having a problem with breaking things down, putting it into perspective, trying to figure out or even calm down the outside noise, come and see me on a website near you. You can go to judithdaniellc.com, and I offer life coaching. And I don't want you to be my forever student. You understand? Or my forever client. I want us to get you where you need to be, and then you get to live your life. And normally, it takes about 7 sessions of being able to put things in perspective, wrap your head around what might not be working or what don't you see, because sometimes we can get so far into something that we forget to pull back and see the bigger picture of it. And they're like, oh, I have this opportunity over here, or oh, there's another one over there, and I help to put things into perspective for what you want to achieve. And then if you want to go up a level, I'm a certified hypnotist, so I can actually put a focused view in place for your subconscious and help you along the path in order to achieve that thing with confidence. You understand? And I have not yet associated or put on the website a therapist or a counselor or anyone of that nature, because I am not that, but I want to have some there to refer you to. But there's so many out there. As of right now, you can, look it up anywhere, because once you solidify yourself in who you are, and this is what the main perspective of the Futures Club program is. If you go to my website, you'll be able to see all the details. But it's getting you back in cahoots with you so that you understand how powerful you are. And you don't have to give up your turn early. There's no reason for it. And we want to take that option off the table. Why? Because you are fully equipped to have the life that you desire. But once you give up your turn, that is an indefinite decision. And there's no coming back from that. So before you throw in the towel, before you say, I just can't take anymore, and you make a long-term decision based on a temporary situation, come and see me on a website near you. Let's talk about it. Let's get you back into you and your foundation. And the reason I bring up a therapist or a counselor or someone along those lines is because after you're solidified in who you are, there's this kind of confidence that comes up, an awakening perhaps, of, oh my goodness, this is what has been holding me back. And then you start to see things for truth. And then that next step to getting that taken care of and out of the way is to maybe have counseling. And that counseling can work wonders because they take it to a different level. They understand perspectives to a degree medically and can see things that you may not have seen in you and help you to get those unresolved issues out of the way. So I'm like what you would call a first step to give you the confidence enough to even talk about things in truth. And then they take you the rest of the way. Right? Because what good is it if you're going to a therapist or you're going to a counselor, but you can't talk? And you can't talk because the noises around you are so loud, telling you what you should think, who you should be, how you should be reacting to things, and you haven't come to the understanding of the you, the real you, and the real issues that are underlining the symptoms of you having the certain kind of thoughts that you're having. In the Futures Club, we put that into perspective. We help to give you that confidence of all the selves. Self-love, self-determination, self-reflection, and motivate you to understand that, hey, there are no wrong answers. Whatever you want for you or you think is the right answer, and your feelings are valid. Why? Because you're the one who has to walk your life. And that aha moment that people get is what I live for. So we do have another closed seat session coming up at the end of May, early June. And I say end of May because that's when the prerequisite needs to be completed. It's a vision board course. You can get that course on my website and it'll direct you to the right place. And then because I want us to have a foundation on the introduction of what we really want to do. What do you have in mind for you? And then we start our group sessions early June. And I'm very excited about this. Last time it was a success. And the things that I've learned from them, talk about I'm the teacher, but the things that I learned from my students, the things that I learned from my clients, I take those as resources. And I want you to do the same. And whatever is just not, you're like, oh, that sounds good, but I don't think I can use that right now. That's okay. A resource is something that you have on a shelf, in your pocket, in a storage room that you can pull from. And that resource can also be in the back of your mind. And it comes up at just the right time. You know, you have a thought and you're like, oh, wait, we can do this. You know what I mean? One of those kind of moments. So if you would like to participate, the seating is still open. Closed session means that once we start, no new participants can come in because we're already going and I don't want anyone to miss out on anything. But if the waiting list gets to be too long, then I'll open up a second session. So if you're interested, if you don't get in on that first seat, make sure you say, hey, I'm interested. I know class already started, but please put me on the waiting list. And there's a form and there's a contact page that you can actually do those things. And I'm telling you, the camaraderie, the team atmosphere, if you're one of those people and you lack the support because we're all on the same journey, going the same way, even though our goals may be different, that support and then the nuggets that that I give in there, it's a lifelong, I want to say brotherhood or sisterhood, but it's almost like that. And now these are friends that you may have for the rest of your life. So now you're creating what some people call your soul tribe. And even though you may be on different journeys, even though you may not have the same perspective, they understand what it takes on that journey. And it helps you to not feel alone. So if that is something that interests you, if you need a life coach, and again, you're not going to be my forever student. We are going to get you where you need to be, and you are going to fly. Because what good is having all of that, but you're continuously not getting enough to where you can actually go and do the things you want to do, right? And of course, you can always come back if we need to revamp or refresh or reframe some things to make sense. But I want you to know that you have the power in you. And the way that I structure it with the, it's not a curriculum, but, the questions and the probing and the dialogue that we have, it gets you where you want to be. And again, normally on average, it's about 7 sessions. Sometimes there's 10. There are no contracts, so it's not like you're obligated to do this, this, or this. But there are no refunds because I feel when you invest in you, move forward with that because you thought enough about yourself to say, hey, I want this. I want to do better. I want to feel better. I want to know what I'm missing so that I can move forward because I would love to have that house on the beach. You understand? Or I would love to have that cabin by the lake and be able to live that lifestyle. But I don't even know how you get to live in a lifestyle that creates you to be able to have that. And we put it all in perspective. So this was our first new episode of the new podcast, and it's on mastering the art of goal setting. You have it within you to do. Let me know what you need because I want to get you there too. All right. I hope you enjoyed. Listen to it again if you need to, The next episode will be out next Wednesday. And until next time, have a good one. And know that you are worth it to have whatever you desire. Bye, guys.